All right, party people. What the fudge is up? Hope you guys are staying safe, not like those idiots that are down on spring break. No pandemic's gonna stop me, brah. Ah, morons. Anyway, let's get down to business, guys. Um, I graded your work and I sent it back to you, at least the first assignment. And one of the biggest mistakes that people were making was regarding murder in the first degree, which is not surprising because we hadn't gone over it yet. So I'd like to do that first, and then I want to go through all the scenarios, kind of clear up anything that was unclear, and then introduce you to what your assignment for today will be. So let's just start with looking at murder in the first degree. So murder in the first degree. A person is guilty of murder in the first degree when, one, with intent to cause the death of another person, he causes the death of such person or a third person. So we have the mens rea of intent and then causing the death of a person. Now that is the definition of murder in the second degree, that's as far as some of you read, I think, when you created your scenarios. But you'll see this word "and" at the back here. That's really important because there needs to be at least one additional aggravating factor that would turn murder in the second degree to murder in the first degree. So what are those aggravating circumstances, right? Aggravating conditions. Subdivision 1I. The intended victim was a police officer, as defined in subdivision 34, section 1.2 of the criminal procedure law, who was at the time of the killing engaged in the course of performing his official duties, and the defendant knew or reasonably should have known that the intended victim was a police officer. So that means someone intentionally kills a police officer and they know that person is a police officer and it's in the course of that person performing their duties as a police officer. So that is not somebody kills someone who is a police officer and they're off duty and the person didn't know they were a cop. That's not what this is. This is someone kills someone while they're in the course of fulfilling their job as a police officer. Next, and I removed some. There are many, many aggravating factors that can lead to murder in the first. I just chose a specific group of them. The intended victim was a witness to a crime committed on a prior occasion, and the death was caused for the purpose of preventing the intended victim's testimony in any criminal action. So the killing, for this aggravating factor, the killing was motivated to stop someone from testifying in court, or it was done as revenge for someone that had testified in court. The reason why these two that I read to you are aggravating factors for murder in the first degree is because they represent an attack on the criminal justice system itself. It's not just a person that you're killing, it's a person who is involved in the functioning of the criminal justice system. So it is seen not necessarily as a more serious crime, but a different type of murder than murder in the second degree. You'll notice that murder in the first degree is an A1 felony, and you'll notice that murder in the second degree is also an A1 felony. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, what's the difference? If murder in the second is an A1 felony and murder in the first is an A1 felony, what's the difference? The difference comes down to sentencing and minimum mandatory sentencing and a lot of nuanced things with sentencing in the law. So that's what the difference is there for. There is a difference to it, but for both murder in the second and first, you can go away for life. It's just that with murder in the first, I believe there are higher mandatory minimums that someone has to serve in prison. All right. Finally, the last aggravating factor I gave you is that the victim was killed while the defendant was in the course of committing or attempting to commit, and in furtherance of, robbery in the first degree, burglary in the first degree or second degree, kidnapping in the first degree, arson in the first degree or second degree, rape in the first degree, sodomy in the first degree, sexual abuse in the first degree, aggravated sexual abuse in the first degree, or escape in the first degree, or in the course and furtherance of immediate flight. So that means if someone commits a murder while in the course of committing one of these crimes, or when they are immediately fleeing from committing one of those crimes, it makes it murder in the first degree, because that is an additional aggravating factor, that the killing was done during the commission of another serious crime or in fleeing from another serious crime. So that, I hope, clears up some of the confusion with murder in the first degree. And just in short, murder in the first degree has to be the intentional death of someone and an additional aggravating factor, of which I gave you 3, but there are many. All right, so let's get into the scenarios and what the correct responses were for each and why. Number 1, Marco kills a person who was supposed to testify against his cousin in a criminal trial. So we have an intentional killing, and it is motivated to stop someone from testifying. So that's going to be right here underneath murder in the first degree. All right. Second one, Betsy was walking across a highway overpass with her son when a homeless man spit in her son's face. Betsy picks the man up. She's very strong, Betsy. Either that or the homeless guy is very light. In either case, Betsy picks up the man, throws him off the overpass onto the highway below, killing him. Now, some of you said that this was murder in the second degree, right? With intent to cause the death of another person, he or she causes the death of such person. But I also think that you need to consider manslaughter in the first degree because of the mitigating factor of extreme emotional disturbance, right? We went over this, that you could argue that she is not acting in her right mind, right? Betsy's son is just, a homeless person just spit in her son's face. She kind of lost her mind and just pushed this person over a bridge. It could be argued in court. Eventually, it would come down to how good the lawyers are and a lot of other factors and what the jury believes. So this is either manslaughter in the first because of extreme emotional disturbance for Betsy, or murder in the second degree because she intentionally killed someone. Maybe you could even argue that's manslaughter in the first degree because Betsy didn't plan on killing him, just hurting him, but that doesn't necessarily make sense if she's throwing him onto a highway. All right, 3, John speeds his car through a red light and kills a pedestrian. So this is going to be manslaughter in the second degree, recklessly causing the death of another person. It also could be vehicular manslaughter, which is a class D felony, depending on the degree in New York. But I honestly don't want to get into the ins and outs of vehicular manslaughter because there's a lot that goes into it, like the weight of the vehicle. If the person was under the influence, there's a lot that goes on there. 4, Anthony follows his ex-girlfriend's current boyfriend home and shoots him. This, scenario 4, was the one that most people got wrong. And most people got it wrong because they said it was murder in the first degree because he intended to kill him, and he did. But that is murder in the second degree because there's not an additional aggravating factor. Now, some of you said that the murderer was stalking the victim in this case, so maybe it applies to this section here. But there's nothing in this section that mentions stalking as an aggravating factor that would elevate murder in the second to murder in the first. So this scenario most likely is going to be murder in the fourth degree. Sorry, fourth degree. I messed up because my wife's calling me. I'm going to pause this video and be right back. Sorry about that. So scenario 4 would be murder in the second degree. Right? There's no fourth degree murder in New York State. Be murder in the second degree because there's not that additional aggravating factor. I guess you could say he stalked him by following him home, but that's not going to be enough to elevate this to first degree. 5, Luigi starts a fight with Mario by swinging a pipe at his head. Mario pulls out a knife and stabs Luigi, killing him. So this is justifiable use of deadly physical force because Mario did not start this fight. Luigi did, and Luigi was using deadly physical force by swinging a pipe at Mario's head. Therefore, Mario would be justified in the killing. All right. So the part of the Penal Law Code that your assignment for today is going to focus on is section 125.25, subdivision 2. Under circumstances evincing a depraved indifference to human life, we have studied what that means before in class, he recklessly engages in conduct which creates a grave risk of death to another person and thereby causes the death of another person. In other words, someone doesn't intentionally kill another person, but they act in a way which is so reckless that it indicates a state of mind which is evil, wicked, inhumane, and does not care about the lives of others. Now, the case that you're going to learn about happened on Long Island several years ago, and involved a drunk driving fatality. Now, drunk driving is usually treated as vehicular manslaughter or manslaughter, right? Recklessly killing another person. But there are circumstances which could aggravate that up to a murder in the second degree charge. And in the case that you're going to study, you have to consider all of the circumstances, right? What are called the totality of the circumstances, everything about the case, and decide if you feel the driver of that vehicle who killed 2 people in that accident was being reckless, or if they were beyond reckless and displayed a depraved indifference to human life, which would therefore take their crime from manslaughter in the second degree and elevate it all the way to murder in the second degree. So please watch that video, complete the assignment, and submit it by 10 o'clock tonight. All right, thank you guys. Stay safe, stay in. All right, be well.